Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to welcome all of you to the webinar, Revival Under the New Normalcy, Hong Kong-Viet Nam Partnership. May I introduce myself? My name is Melody Kwan, and I will be your MC for today. The webinar today is organized by the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau of the Government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region and the Ministry of Industry and Trade of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. It is our privilege to also have the following parties co-organizing the event. They are the Consulate General of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in Singapore, the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, and the Federation of Hong Kong Industries. Today's event is also supported by the Hong Kong-Viet Nam Chamber of Commerce. Before we get started, I would like to remind participants of the following points. First, this webinar will be conducted in English and will last for around 1 hour and a half. The microphones and video for the audience will be muted at all times. If you wish to ask questions, please submit your question together with your email address by using the Q&A function. While you may submit your questions anytime during the webinar, they will only be answered during the Q&A session. We may not be able to address all questions during the Q&A session. Unanswered questions relevant to the topic of discussion today will be replied individually via email after the webinar. The chat function will be disabled throughout the webinar. Now, I would like to introduce today's program. We will start with the welcome remarks by Mr. Edward Yao, the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development of the Government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. This will then be followed by the responding remarks by Mr. Trung Hong, Deputy Minister, Ministry of Industry and Trade of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Next, we will have a panel discussion on Joining Hands for Economic Recovery with Commissioner for Belt and Road, Dr. Dennis Yip, is our moderator. We are delighted to have leading figures from both Hong Kong and Vietnam across different industries joining our panel today, including from the Federation of Hong Kong Industries, Sunhua Group, Smart City Consortium, the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, the Vietnam Trade Promotion Agency and the Industry Agency, and Hanoi Trade JS Corporation, HAPRO. After the panel discussion, we will take a few questions from the audience. Lastly, we will invite Secretary Yao and Mr. Phan Binh Dam, Consul General of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, to deliver the closing remarks. Without further ado, may I invite Mr. Edward Yao, the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region Government, to address the audience. Secretary Yao, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Minister Tran, my good friend, Consul General, distinguished speakers, friends. Very happy to see you all in this occasion and sort of joining us in this very interesting and I hope important topic of revival under new normalcy, Hong Kong-Vietnam Partnership. I think I would underscore the Hong Kong-Vietnam Partnership because it has never been closer between Hong Kong and Vietnam with all the development despite the common battle we are fighting against COVID. Now, I'm happy to address this audience because, well, COVID has seemed to have sort of made us a bit distant from each other. I recall that, well, when I led a 48-member strong delegation visiting Vietnam back in late 2018, we have had a very good reception from your then Prime Minister, now President Nouwen, and also having had a very good meeting with the various ministry and also business-to-business community. I think that was a high point when Hong Kong-Vietnam business relations scale a new height. But 2 years down the road, I think we are even closer to each other, as evident from figures and also structural linkages. When I say figures, I think, well, Hong Kong and Vietnam enjoy very cordial trading relations. Actually, despite COVID, investment, trading, and also the business connection are not shrinking at all. Hong Kong remains Vietnam's major sort of trading partner as well as investment source. So we are happy to report that. Well, in fact, our relationship grows stronger to stronger. And only in the initial 8 months of this year, we have seen investment from Hong Kong going to Vietnam increase by 7% despite COVID. We are each other's sort of top 10 trading partner despite all the hiccups in trade because of COVID and perhaps because of geopolitics. But more importantly, I think Hong Kong, Vietnam have been enjoying a closer relationship essentially because of the signing and also ratification and putting into place of the Hong Kong ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. Only a week ago, I was joining Minister Tran in the ASEAN-Hong Kong ministerial meeting, talking about how we sort of take things forward under the FTA arrangement. But I think a lot of business community would be interested to know what, in fact, would be the major sort of opportunity open to us. Now, perhaps I should share some observation. First and foremost, despite COVID, as I mentioned, trade, particularly commodity trade, does not seem to have strength in the last 2 years, but rather trade within the region has been on the rise, and evidently among economy which have removed trade barrier, and significantly between Hong Kong and Vietnam or between Hong Kong and ASEAN, because of this free trade agreement, we're actually sort of moving to a freer and unimpeded trading environment. So that's one evidence. And in fact, Hong Kong figure shows that, well, in the last 8 months, Hong Kong's total trade volume has in fact achieved a record high despite the COVID situation. Now, but when we say commodity trade is on the rise, we are not talking about a global phenomenon. We're actually talking about very much a regional phenomenon, which is very self-evident in the part of the world that we are both living in. It's essentially the Asian Pacific part of the region. Now, I think that's very clear evidence of the free trade agreement that works. It is also attributed to the open and more competitive trading environment that we all share. And had it not been the case, I think the RCEP would not have been signed and sealed. And Hong Kong is also looking to joining RCEP as one of the member economies. But to say that, well, commodity trade is on the rise, it has to be caught up with a corresponding rise on the surface trade. Because under COVID, we are seeing that a lot of commodity trade are being sort of hit by the traffic movement, the higher transport costs. But also, I think the service sector required to sort of catch up in that area. Now, so these trade between Hong Kong and Vietnam, if we are talking about the new potential area, it shouldn't be confined to commodity trade, but rather on new areas. Now, for a new area, what I'm talking about, particularly talking to chambers and business circle, I think can be summarized as a few areas. One, must be investment driven, because I think Vietnam and also the wider part of ASEAN economies are in need for more infrastructural and economic development, where investment could come in handy and also important. Now that's an area that Hong Kong as a financial center for the region and for the world can contribute. So investment is one area. Secondly, trade. I mentioned about commodity trade, services trade, which I think remain the cornerstone of our relations. And I believe trade-driven economic growth will still be the major engine. And it is also underlined by the twin engine that both ASEAN as a group has a great potential as a market, as a trading partner. On Hong Kong side, being part of the big nation, the mainland market, and also adjacent to the Greater Bay Area, which is having the most affluent middle-class income area, are themselves sort of a highly compatible and open up for a lot of synergy. So that's the part of trade enhancement that we are all looking for a closer connection. Now, the third area that I would say is tech-related or smart city-related. I recorded, well, when I call on your then Prime Minister, your current President, in our conversation back in 2018, your then Prime Minister was saying that, well, Hong Kong has been a very strong supporter and investor for Vietnam in the early days when the economy started to open up. But as that that day, 2018, we are talking about the next level, that your top government official was saying that, well, what Vietnam wished to see Hong Kong sort of joining is in fact on smart city development, application of technology on top of professional services. So I would say the third area which would open up a lot of opportunity for business on both sides would be technology related, technology application from the traditional sort of telecommunications, smart city, or perhaps going into public health or COVID fighting sort of technology, which will still be in heavy demand. So it's no surprise that, well, we have today some of these distinguished speakers, some from the very traditional sector, like my very good friend Anthony, whose family was from the sort of traditional rice business, but into new area like Johnson's family business involving professional services, and also Gary's sort of remarks over technology. I think all these are also sort of significant area that would sort of continue to support trade between Hong Kong and Vietnam. So from trade, investment into professional services, and also smart city development. Now all these open up a lot of opportunity. And also it also underlines the importance that, well, at this point of time, as we fight COVID together, I think we are all realizing that, well, there is high time also for a lot of collaboration. And Hong Kong, over the last few months, particularly since April, we have been enjoying a relatively quiet time because, well, we have not been having any sort of local outbreak cases for over a month now. While there are still some imported cases, but by and large, Hong Kong is able to maintain a very stable and sort of clean environment as far as COVID containment is concerned. But we all know that, well, we are all fighting against a very stiff sort of a pandemic situation, and Hong Kong would stand ready to join hands with all other economies, particularly our neighbors in this part of the world, to continue to fight this battle. And only by winning COVID, we could stand a chance of bringing back the economic growth as we sort of move towards. But I believe, well, there are some underlying important elements that wouldn't change our relations irrespective of how COVID continue to hit us, which are the common belief in free and open trade, the common belief in trade as a solution rather than a problem, and also the common belief that, well, together, Hong Kong and Vietnam has enjoyed tremendous goodwill, partnership, and also people-to-people bondage. And I believe these are the very important elements that bring us forward. And I believe these are also the foundation for the discussion today, where speakers from various sectors would help to testify that this is a relationship that is worth cultivating and would have a lot of prospect in the time to come. So I'll pause here. I'll join you back later, particularly after hearing my friend Minister Tran's remarks and also the speakers. And I'm happy to answer some of the questions later on in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Yao. His Excellency, Mr. Trung Quoc, Deputy Minister of Industry and Trade of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, will now deliver his responding remarks. Minister Trung Quoc, please.
Thank you. Excellency Mr. Edward Yao, Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Commerce and Economic Development Bureau of Hong Kong. Excellency Mr. Phạm Bình Đàm, Consul General of Vietnam in Hong Kong and Macau. Ladies and gentlemen, first, on behalf of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam and the business community of Vietnam, I would like to extend sincere thanks to the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau of Hong Kong for proposing and working with the Ministry of Industry and Trade to organize today's webinar with the theme of revival under the new Normalcy, Vietnam and Hong Kong Partnership. It is indeed my great pleasure to see a lot of Hong Kong and Vietnamese businesses participating in this webinar. It is an important event hosted by the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam and the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau of Hong Kong to share experiences and solutions to support the businesses in their efforts to strengthen cooperation in response to challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, thereby driving bilateral relations in trade and investment forward under the new normalcy. Ladies and gentlemen, the world has experienced many crises, but the COVID-19 pandemic is presenting unprecedented difficulties and challenges, including the risk of disruption of both supply and demand on a regional and global scale. The good news is the world economy has shown optimistic signs as several major economies are reopening and adapting to the new normalcy. In Vietnam, as well as other countries in the Asia-Pacific region, which are important links of many global supply chains, while the COVID-19 situation remains complicated with the Delta variant, there has been some evident improvement. The government is implementing drastic measures to prevent and control the pandemic, in which rapid mass vaccination, as well as fighting and applying measures to adapt to the new normalcy, are the core solutions to resume socio-economic activities step by step. And even at the height of the pandemic, the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam is determined to prioritize strengthening cooperation with and support for the business community in response to the pandemic, as well as maintaining trade connections with global and regional partners. The Vietnam-Hong Kong webinar today can also attest to that determination. The Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam and the Vietnamese business community always value and appreciate Hong Kong's potentials and strengths as a leading financial, commercial, and logistic hub in the region and the world. Looking at the facts, Hong Kong is now the 7th largest trading partner and the 5th largest foreign investor of Vietnam. And Vietnam is also the 7th largest trading partner of Hong Kong. And despite the challenging context of the global economy, according to our statistics, bilateral trade between Vietnam and Hong Kong in 2020 amounted to $11.5 billion and has continued to grow strongly by 16% in the past 8 months of 2021. As for investment, by the end of August 2021, the total registered investment capital from Hong Kong into Vietnam has reached over $27 billion and is on a constant rise. On the foundation and tradition of reliable cooperation accumulated over the years, I think that the business community has a lot of opportunities to enhance cooperation to exploit the potential of each economy in the time to come. Many opportunities do come from the active international economic integration and the dynamic development of Vietnam's economy. We have the 14 free trade agreements already signed. Vietnam has entered into so many free trade agreements, some of which have been signed and come into effect recently. As you may know, for example, the FTA between Vietnam and the European Union, the CPTPP, and the FTA between Vietnam and the UK, all of those FTA will enable businesses, foreign and Hong Kong investors in Vietnam, to access most major economies in the world. The fact that the country's economy is in the period of dynamic development, with population of nearly 100 million people, also complement the said advantage. And many large corporations and enterprises of Hong Kong, such as the Golden Resources or San Hoa, they are very famous in Vietnam. They have been taking advantage of opportunities from the investment in Vietnam. And conversely, Vietnamese businesses can seek in Hong Kong opportunities to access diverse international investment capital sources and to export their commodities to other third countries. Ladies and gentlemen, as the theme of the webinar suggests, in order to support the business community of both sides in their recovery and exploitation of the above-mentioned opportunities under the new normalcy, I would like to ask Hong Kong relevant agency to consider a number of measures. First, to consider discussing and signing a memorandum of understanding on enhancing cooperation between the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam and the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau of Hong Kong. We need that memorandum of understanding to establish closer collaboration between the two agencies. And second, if you can, please consider to remove the visa restriction applicable to the business, to the Vietnamese business visitors to Hong Kong. They want to go to Hong Kong to carry out investment and business activities. So by removing the restriction on visa requirement on them would facilitate the flow of the people, business visitors for both sides. And the third is to provide more information and cooperation opportunities for businesses on the Greater Bay Area initiative. In Vietnam, we see a lot of interest of business community on the Greater Bay initiative. So if you can disseminate more information on the Greater Bay initiative, it would be very much appreciated. Finally, I would like to once again thank Excellency Mr. Edward Yao and the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau of Hong Kong for collaborating with the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam to organize such a meaningful activity today. I hope that through the webinar, the business communities of both sides will be able to gain useful information on the policy, investment, and business environment to find new opportunities for collaboration and soon overcome the difficult time of the COVID-19 pandemic and adapt to the new normalcy at the same time. I wish the webinar a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Trung Quoc Hang. Now we will move on to the panel discussion session. I would like to first introduce the moderator today, Dr. Dennis Yip, the Commissioner for Belt and Road of the Commissioner for Belt and Road of the Government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Besides, we are honored to have 4 panelists from Hong Kong and 3 panelists from Vietnam. They are all high-level government officials and top industry leaders with expertise on a wide range of areas and business experience in Hong Kong, Vietnam, and beyond. Commissioner Yip and our expert panelists will share their insights under the theme of Joining Hands for Economic Recovery. Now, may I hand over to the moderator. Commissioner Yip, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to be the moderator for today with comprise a strong team of both Hong Kong and Vietnam specialists. And the panel today carries the theme of Joining Hands for Economic Recovery. We will focus on the following 4 areas. Hong Kong's role as a hub to reach the mainland and ASEAN market. Hong Kong is a functional platform for Belt and Road. Hong Kong is a major platform of capital fundraising and financing for projects and investment in the Vietnam side. And then the use of innovative and technology application in combating COVID-19 and addressing corresponding livelihood needs under the new normalcy. Our panelists today will share about 3 to 5 minutes on their area of expertise, and they will be having 1 or 2 questions, depends on the time. And then we'll be finally moving to the Q&A session later on. Let me introduce the first panelist. Besides me, Mr. Anthony Lam. Mr. Lam is the Executive Deputy Chairman of Federation of Hong Kong Industries, and he's also the CEO of Golden Resources International Limited, one of the Hong Kong leading rice and retail firms with connections across Southeast Asia. He's very familiar with Vietnam. I actually heard him talking Vietnamese, teaching me a little bit of Vietnamese previously. Anthony, please.
Thank you, Dennis. The Federation of Hong Kong Industries is the only statutory chamber in Hong Kong, and reinventing Hong Kong industries is our vision. Over the past 6 decades, the Federation had been working hand in hand with the individual and business communities, promoting Hong Kong's industrial and business development and working earnestly with the Hong Kong government to make Hong Kong a better place for businesses. The Federation has a mature global business network through which we have been fostering close partnership with different business chambers around the world and acting as a bridge between local and global business communities. Riding on Hong Kong's unique positioning as a conduit between the mainland of China and the rest of the world, we have witnessed over the last few decades a closer relationship between Hong Kong and Vietnam, which has been built on solid grounds of cooperation and collaboration, as evidenced by the bilateral trade and investments of both sides. In 2020, Vietnam was the 7th largest trading partner in goods, and Hong Kong was Vietnam's 5th largest export market. 7% of the trade between Vietnam and China was routed through Hong Kong, and Hong Kong ranks number 5 in all FDIs into Vietnam. With the emergence of Vietnam together with ASEAN as a new growth engine in the Asia-Pacific region, many Hong Kong industrialists and investors are interested in potential business development and investment opportunities in ASEAN countries, including Vietnam. Vietnam has a geographical and social advantage for Hong Kong investors. Its established land link to China, political and financial stability, young and well-literate workforce, to name a few. The Federation has been making efforts at this end, such as organizing business matching sessions with different Vietnam business chambers, supporting Hong Kong enterprises to build brands, upgrade their products and services through trade promotions, encouraging the products and service quality through our Q-Mark quality scheme, and advertising in joint trade fairs and exhibition in Vietnam and in other ASEAN countries. We have continuously encouraged our businessmen and professionals to reach out to the wider market amongst the ASEAN partners in particular. We look forward to even more of such collaborations opportunities with Vietnam so as to pave the way to move more Hong Kong enterprises further business development in Vietnam. For Vietnam enterprises looking for opportunities in Hong Kong, the Federation also stands ready to assist. As an international trading, logistic, and maritime services hub, Hong Kong has been considered as one of the top places for Vietnam investors looking to expand and grow in the mainland of China. Being a global business and financial center, strategically situated in the heart of Asia, Hong Kong has been considered and ranked as one of the easiest places to do business in the world. Our core business advantage includes prime geographical location, international aviation and maritime hub, level playing field for local and overseas companies, low and simple tax system, advanced soft and hard infrastructure, as well as free flows of talents, capital and information. We have a deep and broad pool of professional services providers to assist enterprises in areas such as legal, financial, logistics, innovation and technology, transportation, and transshipment services. Furthermore, Hong Kong is a city second to none for enterprises that are looking to development in the mainland of China. It's worth noting that Hong Kong has now 11 universities and 11 other degree-awarding higher education institutions. Together with Hong Kong government focuses and support in the innovation and technology sector, it created a large talent pool that can radiate into the mainland of China and to other ASEAN partners. This will be exceptionally beneficial for Vietnam companies coming to Hong Kong to invest, and especially in the R&D and innovation sector, with applications in Vietnam and other ASEAN countries. China's growth had opened up an immense consumer market and offered huge opportunities to investors both in Vietnam and Hong Kong. China is now the world's second largest economy and is expected to make up 20% of the world economy by 2030. However, doing business in China is not easy for foreigners. It takes time to understand local regulations, local culture, and to establish relationship with China business partners. On the other hand, Hong Kong offers a unique gateway into mainland of China because Hong Kong operates the one country, two systems principle and enjoys a natural advantage of having a common language and culture with the mainland. We are a business-friendly city and free trade policy, rule of law, and offers a predictable, reliable environmental for Vietnamese investors to set up a presence in Hong Kong and to find business partners for exploring the mainland China market. Through a closer economic partnership agreement, or we call CEPA, which is essentially a FTA between Hong Kong and mainland China, companies in Hong Kong, including Vietnamese-owned companies, if they are based in Hong Kong, can enjoy zero tariff for goods entering China. Services suppliers in Hong Kong enjoy preferential treatment and first-mover advantage when setting up business in most service sectors in mainland China. As mentioned above, in 2020, around 7% of total trade between Vietnam and the mainland of China was routed through Hong Kong, which the Federation believes will be increasing. Vietnam and Hong Kong are in a unique position to be able to work more closer together in the post-COVID era, with opportunities in both sides of the trade and investments. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. You represent FHKI very well, talk a lot about Vietnam. I want to get a little bit of your personal experience. What do you think are the major difficulties when you move into Vietnam, move your business into Vietnam, and how you overcome it?
So, what our experience is that, or what we have been talking in Vietnam, is that the labor supply. Still, Vietnam has only got 98 million people. So, the manufacturers, if they want to move into Vietnam, they want a stable labor supply, especially when we need to train the laborers. Okay, the financial incentives from the government is appreciated, especially in helping to training the workers, such as tax rebates. So in the long run, I think the government can encourage the manufacturers to introduce new technologies into Vietnam, such as AI, robotics, automation, and some kind of industrialization funds or tax-deductible investments, like free import tariffs, can be considered. The second thing is the logistic and transportation. The key components of those parts of the manufacturers, a lot of them come from overseas, and especially from China. So the manufacturers will need a reliable and cost-effective port and terminal services. So investment in infrastructure such as roads, ports, bridges are important to manufacturers. The government can consider a more aggressive PPP or BOT program with higher IRR to encourage investment into these infrastructure projects, and then this will also boost the manufacturing sectors in the medium to long run. And also the cluster industry supports, I will say. The government can consider clustering similar industries to have shared resources for a specific industry type. For example, logistics. They can cluster the ambient temperature and the cold chain logistic to be clustered together so that they can incubate more of the downstream industry, like 3PL services cluster. So this will encourage more small to medium-sized factories or peripherals to supporting industry to cluster into Vietnam. So these are some of the items that we can recommend.
Thank you, Anthony. I talk a lot about manufacturing, and let me introduce the next speaker, who actually has a lot of experience of helping Hong Kong business going into manufacturing in outside Hong Kong. Next speaker is Dr. Patrick Lau, Deputy Executive Director of Hong Kong Trade Development Council, Hong Kong TDC. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Ip, Secretary Yao, Minister Tran, Counsel General Pham, ladies and gentlemen. As a background, the HKTDC has a long history of activity and business collaboration with Vietnam. We opened our office in Vietnam in 1997. We have organized many business missions to Vietnam as well as events in Vietnam. For example, in 2018, we organized a mega campaign called In Style Hong Kong in Ho Chi Minh City, attracted almost 3,000 business people, government officials, and consumers to join. Before the travel restrictions in pandemic, I remember that in 2019, Ho Chi Minh City had a pavilion in our food expo here in Hong Kong, featuring 24 companies. Just a few weeks ago in our Belt and Road Summit, we also feature 80 participants from Vietnam, but more importantly, we had 23 projects from Vietnam in our investment matching sessions. And just last week, we organized an ICT industry webinar between the Vietnam and Hong Kong companies, which attracted 120 participants. So businesses are now looking at recovery from the pandemic, and what is very important is the capturing of new opportunities. And here we are particularly interested and focused on the 14th five-year plan promulgated in March this year, where China will continue to open up, and there is both the internal market, internal circulation, as well as external circulation. And under this dual circulation strategy, we can expect the demand from mainland market to continue to grow. And Minister Tran also just now mentioned the Greater Bay Area. This is another game changer. This is staged to be a new world-class metropolitan cluster and a dynamic economic region, and will become a global innovation powerhouse. Hong Kong, of course, is uniquely positioned to connect mainland China and ASEAN companies together, given our experience, and of course, we also have the FTA agreement between Hong Kong and ASEAN. I have 4 suggestions to 4 areas where companies can take action. For one, Vietnamese companies are welcome to join our HKTDC's exhibitions, conferences, and events here in Hong Kong. Not to forget that Hong Kong is a meeting place for international businesses to meet, and this is where you can find buyers, suppliers, and business partners. Between now and the end of the year, we will have our International ICT Expo, Electronic Asia, Smart Biz Expo, and also for the healthcare sector, we will have our inaugural Asian Summit on Global Health, staged in November. Secondly, to know more about the GBA information, the Greater Bay Area, we have launched a Go GBA platform, GOGBA, and this is a platform online to offline. It has a digital platform where Vietnamese companies can find more information about GBA and tap into the opportunity. And at the end of this year, we also intend to stage Guangdong Hong Kong Cooperation Week, which is a campaign on Greater Bay Area in the mainland. Thirdly, for investment projects, project owners in Vietnam are welcome to use our platform, again, to find investors. And we have always aimed to foster tripartite cooperation between ASEAN project owners, the mainland investors, as well as Hong Kong investors and service providers. And we'll continue to do that, and we welcome that. Last but not least, fourthly, the area of collaboration could be between our respective SMEs. Since last year, we have seen strong interest from ASEAN in the technology solutions developed by the Hong Kong companies, especially the SMEs. And this, we also intend to continue to arrange more business matching sessions after this webinar between the Hong Kong companies and Vietnamese companies. We have our SME support program, T-Box, which currently has over 1,500 members. We have seen 23 of those companies having very in-depth interest and discussions on Vietnam market, and in fact many more interested in Vietnam. They wanted to explore market opportunities in Vietnam, including electronic, IT, logistics and supply chain, fashion and textile, and more. To conclude, let me just reiterate that with the events, online platform, business matching services, and more that we offer here in Hong Kong, HKTDC is then ready to help Vietnamese companies and Hong Kong companies to capture more opportunities in this post-pandemic era. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. And just a question for you. You talk about few services that Hong Kong TDC has offer. Just put in a simple term. What do you think is a most simple service that people can use to do project matching between Hong Kong, mainland China, and Vietnam? And how do they access that?
Yes. In fact, we have multiple platforms where we feature this deal-making capability, including the Belt and Road Summit, which we co-organized with the Commissioner Yip's office and the Hong Kong government. And we will actually use the event platform where we can feature the projects from ASEAN project owners and give them an opportunity to pitch their project to our participants, which comprises investors, government officials, and businessmen throughout the world, and see whether we will find the right match for them. And after the event, year-round, my team will actually proactively continue to connect different parties together to continue to pursue discussions. And therefore, we really want to drive the deal-making role of Hong Kong in the region to make sure that more investment flow into meaningful infrastructure and services in Vietnam, which will be a win-win between Hong Kong, between the investors, as well as Vietnam.
Thank you, Patrick, and GBA as well. You mentioned GBA. I think a lot of business are interested from Vietnam to get into GBA as well.
Indeed.
The next speaker, we talk about INT industry. So definitely we have a representative from the INT industry. Mr. Gary Young is the president of Smart City Consortium. Smart City Consortium advises the Hong Kong SAR government in building smart city. And Mr. Young is himself the founder and chief executive of Capture Limited, a digital agency provider of PR and IT experts. Gary, please.
Thank you, Dennis. Hong Kong University's research capacity helped us to successfully contain the COVID-19 outbreak and deal with its related impact. We quickly turned the research results into marketable solution, all because of the ecosystem of capital market, international talent pool, IP protections, and trading platform. I'm happy to say Smart City Consortium is part of this INT ecosystem as facilitator and coordinator. Actually, we are very young organizations. We're just 5 years old, but we're deeply involved in the process of formulating the policy and standard related to smart city development with Hong Kong SAR government. We provide a platform for the government, technology partners, academia, and commercial sectors to cooperate and exchange ideas related to the smart city issues. We are now signed 43 MOUs with 14 countries and regions to realize the visions of smart city together. The pandemic has created new opportunities for the INT industry. Hong Kong INT company have been developing many practical solutions such as home quarantine support, test and health check. That company already the first unicorn IPO in last week. And also virus preventions, delivery robots, online education, e-commerce, etc., etc. SCC also developing an e-health pass application, assessing the test result and vaccination proof of the travelers. SCC and Hong Kong INT sectors stand ready to partner with the Vietnam's enterprise in bringing our products and application to wider use. Turning to the potential of the GBA, Hong Kong, together with our neighbor cities, including Macau and the 9 cities next to us in Guangdong, is in fact the major INT hub in the world. Central government has emphasized its clear support for Hong Kong's development into an international INT hub. In the Greater Bay Area development outline, also highlighted to develop smart city cluster amongst us. A number of new measures have been recently announced to strengthen the support for Hong Kong's INT development, including opening up more firms and projects under virus science and technology programs and funds. Local government in GBA have also introduced venture capital and funding and promotion policy, such as co-financing the private VC from local government funds. As part of the GBA development, the central government has strongly supported the development of the Shenzhen-Hong Kong Innovation and Technologies Cooperation Zone that just located between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, and introduced the supporting policy to facilitate the flow of innovative elements, including the talent, logistic, capital, informations. In these connections, the Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks is now building the superstructures of the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park Theatre. With this development, Hong Kong is set to be the best partner for the Vietnam enterprise to explore the huge potential in GBA. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. 5 years for Smart City Consortium. It might be very young for a normal organization, but 5 years actually changed a lot in the I&T field. I'm just asking this question for the Vietnam. I know Vietnam has actually more and more tech companies that want to participate in Hong Kong business and even in GBA or even mainland business. So what is your experience on how the Vietnam tech companies can actually seeking business partners from Hong Kong?
And of course, one and join a professional bodies like Smart City Consortium and joining the exhibition in TDC. But to be honest, we have different policy to support a Hong Kong company go in GBA. So register a branch in Hong Kong, try to develop your development team in Greater Bay areas. But don't forget, if you will IPO, come back to Hong Kong.
It's good. We need more IPOs from ASEAN countries in Hong Kong, definitely. So the next 3 speakers are from Vietnam, and then we will be moving to the final speaker, who is in Beijing right now. So the first Vietnam speakers is actually Ms. Boiti Van An, is a Deputy Director General, Head of Viet Trade Representative Office, HCMC of Vietnam Trade Promotion Agency. Ms. An, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Dear Excellency, Mr. Trung, Deputy Minister, Ministry of Industry and Trade of Social Republic of Vietnam, dear Mr. Edward Yao, Secretary of Commerce and Economic Development, Hong Kong Special Administrative Region Government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the Vietnam Trade Promotion Agency, that's really my honor to be invited to participate in today's webinar and share with you some experiences on the trade promotion activities, an effective way to support the business community, especially in these days. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam has always given priority to the trade promotion and oversee market development activities. And it's constantly given direction throughout the ministry working programs, and in which, as a result, this help promote export growth, contribute to socio-economic development. Over the years, the trade promotion activities have really achieved positive results and contributed significantly to the growth and expansion of export markets, as well as the building up of Vietnam product, national brand and image to the world market. We currently really in the midst of very difficult time for all of us, as the business community and people around the world are facing with complicated developments of the COVID-19 pandemic, especially with recent outbreaks of new virus variants. And in response to the narrative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, from the beginning of 2020 till now, the traditional, in the circumstances that when the traditional trade promotion agencies could not be held as usual, under the management of the Ministry of Trade, we have taken initiatives to quickly coordinate with relevant partners, localities and foreign trade promotion agencies to quickly replacing the traditional activities by applying information technology and digital platform in trade promotion. For example, so far, hundreds of international trade promotion conference, webinars, and thousands of online business-to-business sessions have been conducted to support the Vietnamese business communities come into contact with foreign partners across the 5 continents. Especially in last year, in December 2020, the Vietnam Trade Promotion Agencies under the Ministry of Industry and Trade had organized the Vietnam Food Expo, that is the annual offline international exhibition in the food industry, but now we organize virtually for the very first time. We also support and organize for thousands of Vietnamese business to participate in virtual international fairs and exhibitions, mainly in China mainland and in some other traditional export markets of Vietnam. The online trade promotion activities really help Vietnamese exporters to maintain and develop good relationships with good foreign partners around the world, especially in the very difficult time when we cannot go around and talk around and meet each other. Additionally, the Vietnam Trade Promotion Agency is also cooperated with our system of Vietnamese commercial counselors abroad to join hands in supporting localities and farmers to consume agricultural products in a timely manner in the situation that the farmers right now cannot carry out traditional trade promotion activities. Distinguished delegates, Hong Kong is one of the very important and dynamic financial and commercial centers of Asia and the world, and is also the headquarters of many giant corporations in Asia Pacific. In particular, Hong Kong is also considered as the main Chinese trade and investment gateway to other foreign countries. Therefore, through Hong Kong market, Vietnamese goods and services will have the opportunity to penetrate not only the Chinese market, but also other countries regionally and internationally. According to the statistic of the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, HKTDC, there are currently more than 30 international exhibitions organized in Hong Kong annually, of which 11 ones are the largest specialized shows in Asia. Vietnam is a country with the strength in the household goods and food products, and recent years, many Vietnamese business in these fields have participated in those fairs on fashion, electronics, foods organized in Hong Kong, and they told that they really found out very good and potential buyers, not only from Hong Kong, China mainland, but also from other countries around the world. However, regarding to the quality of the and designing of the Vietnamese goods, our college at KTDC has shared that among Vietnam export to Hong Kong and the one participating in the trade show in Hong Kong, although there are many very good, many products with good quality, their packaging designs have not been still highly evaluated and appreciated by the buyers. And this makes the Vietnamese products less quite competitive and be at a lower value comparing to the others, to the goods of other countries in the region. For the revival under the new Normalcy, we think that the trade promotion organization are constantly increasing their support activities for the businesses and also promoting cooperation with each other in the field of trade promotion. The strengthening of international cooperation between the trade promotion organizations is currently inevitable and necessary. Therefore, participating on joint trade promotion activities is an urgent matter, not only to effectively implement the joint action programs, but also take advantage of international assistance to expand the business networking, exploit the information, and explore the business opportunities. With that in mind, I would like to suggest some cooperation matters as follows. The first, we can strengthen the trade promotion activities by enhancing trade promotion capacity and competitiveness of trade promotion agencies, as well as the business community of both sides. This can be implemented through providing market information, providing opportunities and potential corporations, And this can be done or carried out through the online trade promotion training platforms, conferences, and webinars. Especially, we can promote the application of information technology and digital transformation into trade promotion activities in order to reduce the cost and improve capacities for business in specific activities. For example, we can carry out the online B2B matching, organize or participate in virtual trade shows and exhibition on digital platforms. The third one, we should build up the sustainable trade promotion policy infrastructure, coordinate and support the implementation of trade promotion activities, ranging from the product development to investment promotion to the brand development and export market development. The fourth one, we should change and innovate the methods of implementing the trade promotion activities through enhancing the support activities to improve the efficiency of enterprises' participation in trade promotion activities. Diversify the trade promotion activities to suit varied needs of business sectors and business groups. The last one, we can strengthen the coordination in information exchange and updates on trade investment policies. Establish cooperation and networking mechanism, strengthen delegation exchange at all levels, especially in the field of the business, and promote cooperation relations in many fields between the two sides to reach a deeper level, substantive and effective. I believe that with a market as very dynamic and full of potential as Hong Kong, in the coming time, Vietnamese and Hong Kong business will explore many new cooperation opportunities in which we further contribute to the sustainable development of Hong Kong-Viet Nam Partnership and Friendship. And on that note, I wish the webinar a very great success, wishing all distinguished guests and delegates good health, happiness, and success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. An. Looks like outside Patrick Lau has a lot of work to do for you from your suggestion. I'm sure that Patrick and Ms. An will catch up and look at the new measures that Ms. An just talked about. The second speaker we have is Mr. Go Kang Hong, Deputy Director General of Industry Agency of Vietnam. Mr. Hong, please.
Thank you, moderator, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of VIA, I'm very honored to attend this webinar today that has shown our joint efforts in strengthening the trade and investment cooperation between Vietnam and Hong Kong, especially against the context of fighting the COVID-19 pandemic in our country as well as in the region and in the world. And I have been asked to make a presentation on opportunities for industry investments in Vietnam. And regarding the industry, during the past decade, the industry in Vietnam has gradually developed and accounted for 30% of our country GDP, and of which the manufacturing sector has accounted for 16.5% of GDP. And the percentage of the manufacturing products in export also increased from 60% in 2010 to 80% in 2020. And of course, in the upcoming years, the manufacturing sector still remain its role as the driving force for the industry and the economy as a whole. And the development of the manufacturing sectors in Vietnam is significantly contributed to the FDI sectors, as the country has a lot of advantages in attracting foreign investment in industry. I can name here a few. The first is that the continued GDP high growth, the stable macro environment, the golden population privatization process, increased income and economic opening. The second advantage is the favorable geographical location in international trade links. And we are located in the one of the most dynamic region with the world record economic growth. And the third advantage is that we also have a lot of plans to strengthen the investment in infrastructure, especially the harmonized transport system and the logistics system to serve for the major industry investment projects. And the third advantage is the abundant human resources with high-skilled workers. And right now, the domestic enterprises, we are capable to provide the supporting industry products as the inputs for the M&Es for a foreign investor. And last but not least is the expanded export markets thanks to the FTAs. As our Deputy Minister has mentioned, we have 14 FTAs that have been already signed and there are a few more to be signed. And the signing of FTA also created a lot of opportunities for foreign investors to invest in Vietnam. And of course, there are also a lot of opportunities for our partners in Hong Kong as well. And regarding the priorities for the industry investment in Vietnam, as per the investment law in 2020, there are a lot of products and sectors getting the priorities when investing in industry in Vietnam. The first category is in the new materials, the new energy, clean and renewable energy, products with the value added of more than 30% onwards, products with the energy saving. And the second category is the electronics, key mechanical products, agricultural products, automobile, spare part, shipbuilding, and other products in the priority list of supporting industry as stipulated in the Decree 111 by the government of Vietnam. And the third category of priority is the high-tech technology activities, supporting industry products of high-tech, the R&D activities, manufacturing fruits resulted from R&D research, according to laws and regulations on science and technology. And regarding the opportunities for the Hong Kong enterprises, we encourage the enterprises from Hong Kong to study and invest in Vietnam in the new industrial projects with advanced technology, using local workers that help us to create more employment, using local materials and supply chain in Vietnam. We also encourage enterprises from Hong Kong to join with Vietnamese enterprises in investing in projects of manufacturing materials, mechanical, electronics, electric, supporting industry products and automobiles. And the special priorities will be given to strategic partners from Hong Kong in projects setting up R&D center and innovation center in Vietnam. And of course, the COVID-19 has caused serious damage to our economies, but still there we have to prepare for the post-COVID area with more the specific plan from both the government and the companies. And with that in mind, we look forward to further and closer cooperation from Hong Kong Partnership to do it in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hong, and I know that the 3 key industry priorities through Vietnam Industrial Development Strategy, you mentioned that 2025 to 2035, manufacturing, telecom, electronics, new and renewable energy. So for those who want to invest in these areas, definitely Vietnam is one of the best choices. So let me move to the third speaker, Mr. Nouwen Fifu Hien, Managing Director of Hanoi Trade JS Corporation, Hapro. Ms. Hien, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor here today to be invited by the Hong Kong Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam and Hong Kong Commerce and Economic Development Bureau to participate in this webinar conference. We believe that the meeting will create a very good opportunity for us to understand what the Hong Kong economic policies in the current situations and increase mutual business collaborations, especially under the new normalcy, as we say. On this occasion, we would like to introduce briefly ourselves. Hanoi Trade Joint Stock Corporation, HAPRO, is a reputable corporation, private corporation here in Hanoi City with more than 20 companies belonging to the AG Group, a leading private economic group in Vietnam. HAPRO is among Vietnam's leading exporter of agricultural products like cashew nuts, pepper, rice, handicraft, and fine art articles for many years. Our annual export value reached about $100 million with the foreign market sweeping nearly 80 countries and territories in the world. For domestic trade, we are with our mother group BRG now managing some retail brands like BRG Mart, Hapro Food, BRG Mart, Fuji Mart, etc. Hong Kong has become one of our important export markets in Asia, especially for agricultural products and processed food and handicraft. So far, we have carried out trade promotion of activity such as participating in food or handicraft fair and exhibition like a Hong Kong Houseware, Hong Kong Brands and Product Expo, Pre-Fair, Hong Kong Exhibition, etc. with very like a dynamic and very active support from Hong Kong Trade Development Council. And various also participate in various business matching with potential Hong Kong. Our annual export to Hong Kong before COVID-19 reached some 100 containers yearly, including agricultural products, like I said, cashew nut, rice, processed food like rice noodle, dry lotus seed, rice paper, roasted peanut, handicraft, and fine art article. And for 2020 and 21 now, our export turnover to Hong Kong decreased sharply due to COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has affected badly not only our company activity, but also other companies in the world, like we know. We have many difficulty in supplying chains both at home and abroad. For example, social lockdown in some southern province in some months now has interrupted in supply of input, material, as well as local transportation, labor, etc., resulting in the increase in cost and late delivery. And in addition, in the increase in sea freight and lack of container and sharply decreased demand from overseas market have made the situation more seriously. But however, we believe that with the revival under the new normalcy in the coming time and with the applications of IT deeply in business promotions, our business will be recovered and soon get a better result. As we already know that Hong Kong is a very famous in the world as a trade intermediate. Hong Kong businessmen are very smart and very professional trader. In addition, Hong Kong production and agricultural production are also limited due to the limit in land and high population density. We create a favorable condition for Vietnamese enterprise to export our strong product, including agricultural products and processed food to Hong Kong, as well as through Hong Kong to the third country or China mainland. We hope that with the support and of our trade promotion agency, the government body, and with a lot of initiative and suggestion of other speakers today, and we will soon have a more opportunity after COVID-19 in a new normal. And we and also other business enterprise can enjoy more like a favorable condition for to promote our business in very near future. Thank you.
Ms. Lim, thank you very much. Actually, we in Hong Kong would love to have more Vietnam companies and products that actually come through Hong Kong to China, because we believe that we can be the international hub to bridge the gap between China and Vietnam. The last speaker, but not least, actually has very much experience in Vietnam. Mr. Johnson Choi, Executive Director and Vice President of Sun Hoa Group. He actually is very familiar with Vietnam and has actually, as a member of the Hong Kong Vietnam Chamber of Commerce, he's in Beijing right now. So, Mr. Choi, please.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Yip. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to be here today as a panelist of this webinar, of which the Hong Kong Vietnam Chamber of Commerce is the supporting organization. HKVCC has always placed a high priority on Hong Kong and Vietnam's partnership. My father, Dr. Jonathan Choi, chairman of Sun Hoa Group, is also chairman of the chamber. Throughout the 13 years of its establishment, HKVCC has been promoting cooperation, networking, and investment opportunities between the two parties. It built a forum of exchange of views between governmental bodies and private sectors of Hong Kong, mainland China, and Vietnam, as well as identified new opportunities for trade and investment. The Chamber also publicizes to the member information on relevant services provided by the HK government and encourage the members to make use of those services. For activities, luncheons and seminars have been organized from time to time in Hong Kong and Vietnam to promote business opportunities and cooperation with the Hong Kong TDC and the VCCI of Vietnam. And during the official visits by the two prime ministers to Hong Kong and by Mrs. Carrie Lam and Mr. Edward Yao to Vietnam. Recently, and before COVID-19, in August 2019, HKVCC supported the Department of Commerce of Guangdong Province to organize the 2019 China Guangdong Vietnam Import and Export Fair in Hanoi. As some of you may know, Sun Hoa Group is a Hong Kong-based conglomerate with a business in seafood and foodstuff, real estate, financial services, technology, infrastructure, education, and training, media and healthcare, and green technology. We have been doing business in Vietnam for more than 50 years, focusing on seafood, real estate, financial services, coffee trading, agricultural products, and dry food, and most recently, innovation. For financial services, Sun Hoa has financial services company listed in Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and in Vietnam, we are one of the largest founding shareholder of Vina Capital, a leading investment banking and fund management company in Vietnam. In recent years, both the Hong Kong and Vietnam government have been actively promoting innovation and startups. Sun Hoa has established the Sun Hoa Innovation Centers in various locations, such as Ho Chi Minh City of Vietnam, Shenyang, Tianjin, Beijing, Wuxi, Nanjing, Guangzhou of China, and the Sun Hoa Global Youth Innovation Center in Nansha of Guangdong, and the Sun Hoa International Innovation Platform with 26 partners from many countries and regions. The platform includes incubator, accelerators, venture capitals, universities, and research centers. The Hong Kong Science and Technology Park and Cyberport of Hong Kong are our platform partners. At the same time, Sun Hoa Zhonghe Space has been established with the mission of promoting entrepreneurship among young people in Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, and Greater Bay Area, GBA, and contributing to the transformation of the GBA into a world-class innovation hub and a Hong Kong Shenzhen version of the Wall Street Silicon Valley. With a long history and firm foundations, Sun Hoa is committed to play a key role in fostering an innovation-driven economy, which is the future we are all driving towards. By collaborating with a range of research institutes, Sunwa is also investing in environmental science, digitalized manufacturing technologies, and biotech technologies to better leverage fundamental science into innovative, productive, and enhancing technologies for manufacturers in both China and Vietnam. We have also established a RMB 10 billion fund to develop the comprehensive healthcare services sector in the Greater Bay Area. And there's various strategic cooperation agreement signed to tap into the mainland China and global markets in construction, health care, and science, technology, information sectors. As an international capital market and financial center, Hong Kong can assist GBA companies to go global and also help Vietnamese companies to expand business to GBA. The economic bond between Vietnam and GBA is remarkable, as Hong Kong is one of the leading sources of FDI in Vietnam. On the other hand, Guangdong is a premier partner in economic cooperation, trade, and international exchange between China and Vietnam. The rising market of Vietnam is also the most significant investment market of Guangdong among ASEAN countries. Our chairman, Dr. Choi, is also the chairman of the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area Entrepreneurs Union, which actively facilitates connections and cooperations among enterprises in GBA with domestic and international partners, including Vietnam. Lastly, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau of the Hong Kong SAR government and the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam for bringing such a valuable opportunity for us to share our views. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnson. Looks like you're not only in the traditional food business, but also incubation center, development in GBA, and maybe one day helping more Vietnamese companies to get listed in Hong Kong. That would be great. Let me pass back the floor to the moderator before the Q&A session. Melody, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Yip, and all the panelists for the insightful discussion. Thank you very much. Despite the pandemic, it is clear that there remains ample room for Hong Kong and Vietnam to deepen our trade and economic partnership, as well as our people-to-people bond. Now we will turn to the Q&A session. I'm sure that our audience will be very eager to learn even more from the speakers today, and we have already received some questions. Commissioner Yip will moderate this Q&A session and direct questions for the speakers and panelists to answer. May I now hand over to Commissioner Yip, please.
Thank you, Melody. And actually, I was looking at this iPad and we have 6 questions. I don't think we have enough time for all 6. But let me get to the first question because I noticed that we added Secretary Yao into the Q&A session. So we have 5 on this side and 4 on the Zoom side. The first question actually talks about what Secretary Yao's speech has talked about. Professionals from Hong Kong benefiting from partnership with Vietnam and how the Vietnam business to use Hong Kong to explore the mainland market. Secretary Yao, do you want to comment on professional services, how to get more partnership with Vietnam and how Vietnam business exploring the mainland market?
Well, thank you, Dennis. I think it's a very pertinent question. I think the question behind this also speaks for the new relationship nowadays. Because, well, in the old days, we talk about Vietnam being a very favorite destination of manufacturing, production line, extension. But nowadays, as we have heard from all the speakers from both sides, the relationship is far deeper than just manufacturing or exploring sort of low-cost labor. actually, I think it's a two-way street. Now, on Hong Kong's going to Vietnam side, of course, I believe Vietnam together with ASEAN offer huge opportunity for a lot of infrastructural development, whereby a lot of state-owned enterprises, multinational companies will be very interested in going there. Now, in this process, I often say that infrastructural development now require much deeper pocket than just single company. Sometimes they're multinational, multi-country, intercontinental. So in a way, project financing is a huge area that, well, it takes the whole world to sort of join hand, and definitely so financing is one area. Now, within financing, we are talking about these days, not just sort of money going to roads, railway, construction, port development, but also there is an additional dimension, say, green financing, where we can channel sort of a new money into this game. So green financing is one very important area that Hong Kong's financial sector is all about. Now, we're also talking about the other way around. Well, long gone are the days money only going from the Hong Kong side to Vietnam. ASEAN country as a group has emerged as a major sort of a middle income sort of a community. And therefore, there could be money coming from the other side towards this side and looking at, for instance, Greater Bay Area, which has a very big potential. We are talking about product, we are talking about services. So in a way, in between, who are the best to advise these business opportunities? This must be coming back to the common theme that all the speakers seem to mention, that, well, perhaps Hong Kong happens to know better on both sides of ASEAN, Vietnam, as well as Greater Bay and the mainland areas. So these are experienced sort of business service provider beyond professional service. Last but not the least is I&T. And Gary mentioned about, well, having sort of gone through the stage of raising money, well, perhaps it's time to come back to Hong Kong for listing. Yeah. But listing may not necessarily be the only sort of end game. It could be technological collaboration, which involves, say, research-oriented or applied research, involving academia, involving enterprises who are doing advanced manufacturing. So in fact, well, the question opens up the new term of professional services in the context between Hong Kong and Vietnam, where this two-way street would require a lot of high-level service input. Some are within the professional area. Some are, I would say, is on the business service area, but all of which seem to facilitate, to galvanize this relationship. I think this is all about the Hong Kong-Vietnam partnership.
Thank you, Secretary Yao. It's very comprehensive. Let me ask Gary, because we talk about I&T and Johnson talk about innovation hubs, centers that they have in Sun Hua. How do you think we can coordinate better in the Vietnam and Hong Kong side on the technology or high-tech companies front?
We are advocates a concept called Smart City as a Service. Different government proactive to develop their digital infrastructures or services. Sometimes we just focus on our city, but actually those solutions may also good and benefit to other cities. So, and Smart City Consortium always want to transfer our technologies and development in Hong Kong and the Greater Bay areas to other Asian cities. And I'm sure that will be some further cooperation between Vietnam and our GBA, I&T sectors.
Great, thank you, Gary. Let me go to question to either Mr. Hong or Ms. An regarding, we talk about going to mainland China, going to GBA through Hong Kong. From your organization, MOIT and the trade organization, what do you think Hong Kong should do better in terms of helping Vietnam companies to go into GBA through Hong Kong? Mr. Hong, you ready for the answer?
One of the opportunities for the Vietnamese companies going through Hong Kong to the mainland and also to access to other markets. And of course, one of the best way to encourage the investment in the sectors that have been mentioned before by the relevance by our counterparts in Hong Kong And of course, our main focus today, especially for us as the industry agency, is now to getting more the investment from the industrial investor from Hong Kong into Vietnam in our two major industries, such as the textile and garments and electronics, the automobiles, and mechanicals and the supporting industries. And to do that, until now, we have step by step setting up the legal frameworks, and with the priorities given to the foreign investor, especially those are in the industrial ones, in the industrial sectors, going to Vietnam. And besides that, of course, there are also many opportunities in the industrial parks in Vietnam. You know that here now for the attracting foreign investment, the government of Vietnam for the last 30 years has attracted, has been paid a lot of attention to setting up the new industrial parks in Vietnam to attract more foreign investors into our country. And until now, there are more than 369 industrial parks in Vietnam, attracting a lot of investors from foreigners, including those are from Hong Kong. And I think that in the near future, of course, the industrial investment also are our priorities for getting the investment from Hong Kong to Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hong. Let me move to the most difficult question. I was looking at all of the questions. COVID-19 has brought about a very rapid change among businesses, and it's stopping a lot of business from physically communicating. What can we do now before we wait for a very easy physical contact to get the partnership of Hong Kong and Vietnam business going? So let me ask Anthony, because you have a lot of business in Vietnam, you cannot travel there. What's your comment on that?
I think what we have to do is to plan for the future. Okay, we are not looking at it now. COVID will go away. Okay, sooner or later, COVID will go away. Vietnam, we can actually, in April this year, we see a very big bounce back in the Vietnam economy before the fourth wave come in. Of course, there's a fourth wave. The fourth wave come and fourth wave will go. I think we have to prepare ourselves to in the future what will happen next. Things will be different. Say, for example, education. Will it be the same as before, or in the training and exhibition? Will it be the same, or will that be in the long term a hybrid kind of situation on that? So we have to think about what is a post pandemic issue. For example, the pandemic also actually created a lot of new opportunities for both the Vietnam companies or even in Hong Kong. For example, the hygiene and personal healthcare industries, the remote education services, the last mile delivery services, remote access computer, cyber securities, fintech, proptech. These are all coming up with a new industry. It will help Vietnam, especially with the many of the industrial parks. How do you control the industrial parks? Is it going to be better controlled in terms of hygiene, in terms of people management? These are all the technology all comes in, and this is what I think Hong Kong and Vietnam can work together. As I have said, Hong Kong has got 11 universities, and Hong Kong government has put a lot of resources into developing the high-tech industry. For example, we have Cyberport, we have the HKSTP, and we have a lot of incubation incubation programs for the different companies. So I would actually sincerely hope that even more of the Vietnamese students can actually come to Hong Kong and work in Hong Kong, and then bring back the R&D in Hong Kong and I&T in Hong Kong, and bring back and apply in Vietnam, because not only in Vietnam, I think the whole ASEAN will need it, and Vietnam can be the hub of this.
Thank you, Anthony. And Ms. An, you have a lot of different policies in MOIT to support it. So what do you think we should do now rather than waiting for the post-COVID era?
As some of the sharing from other speakers, I think in order to overcome the pandemic right now and back up to the new normalcy, there's required the support, not the support from the government, especially in terms of like policies, trade promotion activities. I quietly agree with some of the speakers that how to enhance the trade and investment activities between Hong Kong and Vietnam is one way. It's a very good way for the business community to remain and to retain the supply chain after a very difficult time. Hong Kong is really the center of the financial and high technologies. So if the Vietnamese company can encourage more Hong Kong investor or even some of Vietnamese company look for the opportunity to invest into Hong Kong, we think we can learn the experience from the logistics, the technology, the fintech, and we also would like to import some of the material for export processing as well as machinery and technologies from Hong Kong. In addition, we think that the Hong Kong also a good partners for us to learn from some like the experience in order to development of the logistics. For the last few years, the MOIT has already coordinated with other line ministries to facilitate the logistics service and infrastructures in order to help to improve the effectiveness of business environment in our country. So I think that's one of the good efforts of the government to help the foreign investment to invest into our country, and also we can learn from Hong Kong and others.
Thank you, Ms. An. Unfortunately, I have a few more questions, but no more time. So let me pass my floor back to Melody.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, for our audience active participation at the Q&A session. Before the event draws to a close, may I invite Secretary Yao and Consul General Mr. Phan Binh Dam to say a few words. Secretary Yao, the floor is yours. Secretary Yao.
Thank you. Well, it has been quite an interesting and very enriching session, listening and also taking part into the discussion we have had now. Well, I think there are basically three messages I have taken home and also would like to share with audience between Hong Kong and Vietnam. The first one is, in fact, the Hong Kong-Vietnam relations, particularly the wider business relations, is wider and deeper than we have thought. We talk about the historical sort of strength between the two economies. We're also looking at the great opportunity that are happening right next to our immediate neighborhood. In the case of Vietnam, is the ASEAN economy. In the case of Hong Kong, it's the Greater Bay Area and our mainland market. But together, I think we are open up to a much wider Asian economy, which has been sort of booming, growing, and also prospering. Okay, so we are talking about also a much wider spectrum of sectors that we can tap on. It's not just confined to manufacturing, which is our sort of common strength. It is also enhanced by the sophisticated supply chain nowadays we're talking about, helped by Hong Kong's sort of role as a global logistic sort of manager. Now, this is in fact a high time for us to look at the wider spectrum of opportunity. That's point number one. And secondly, I think the second message is that, Hong Kong is actually much closer and easier place for Vietnam investment, simply because we have established close link. And also it takes one to just set up a company to reap all the benefit that does not given only to your business in Hong Kong, but also into the mainland through SIPA. So I take full note of Minister Tran's remarks that, well, perhaps in terms of visa arrangement, there could be improvement. Well, I have assured the Vietnamese government that, well, this is a very important area we should sort of continue to work towards. Because in the past few years, there has been a mutual problem of some overstay in Hong Kong. So with that gradually removed, I think I have every confidence that, well, business trading, particularly through greater facilitation, that hurdle could be removed. So in a way, Hong Kong could be much closer to Vietnam than the physical distance, let alone that we are in fact just 2 or 3 hours flight apart from each other. Now the final point is that despite COVID, I think all the distinguished speakers come to a single common vision that we shouldn't wait until the post-COVID time. It is in fact a high time that we get ourselves prepared. And also experience, which I heard from the speaker today and also business sector that I have encountered, they are all saying that, well, in fact, this difficult period has in fact opened up more opportunity for those who are having the courage and also having the ability to overcome the physical hurdle and also sort of seeing the opportunity at the end of the tunnel. So in a way, there is no perfect time. Perhaps this is the best time that we can act together. And the webinar that we conducted today is just the beginning of this long and deep and wide pathway that we set for both Vietnam and Hong Kong businesses. So with these remarks, I thank all the speakers for joining us. And also, I believe there could be a lot of opportunity for us to work together. Thank you.
Secretary Yao. May I now invite Consul General Mr. Phan Binh Dam. Please, Consul General, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Secretary Edward Yao, Vice Minister Chen Kang, ladies and gentlemen. The webinar revival under the new normalcy of Vietnam-Hong Kong partnership is drawing to a close. A very successful close. Remarks made by senior officials and discussions by the panelists all highlight the fact that the partnership between Vietnam and Hong Kong is extensive, has been growing robustly despite the impact of pandemic, and will make greater strides in the near future. My appreciation goes to the organizer for the timely, substantive and fruitful virtual meeting that we have today. I believe that behind the screens are all heartened participants who are ever more positive about the cooperation opportunities unfolding in the months and years ahead between Vietnam and Hong Kong. Ladies and gentlemen, the past 2 years has truly been a testing time for us all with devastating effects on many sectors and businesses. But as often goes, which is the yin and yang philosophy, new opportunities always have already emerged on the horizon. This includes, but not limits to, digitalization, healthcare services, reindustrialization, and so on and so forth. Businesses of Hong Kong and Vietnam will not let the opportunities go past. Capitalizing on the existing advantages and seizing new opportunities, the Vietnam-Hong Kong partnership will grow by leaps and bounds. We at the Consulate General and other government agencies are always available for support and facilitation. We can certainly count on even greater support from the Hong Kong government, which is highly business-oriented and productive. And I hope that by the time next year, we'll have another event like this, perhaps face-to-face, under the theme, post-pandemic time Vietnam-Hong Kong new partnership. And under this new partnership, many of the factors that the participants have already discussed today. In this new partnership, we have Vietnamese companies going by large number to Hong Kong to make use of Hong Kong's role as the gateway to the Greater Bay Area. We see the technologies jointly developed and deployed in Vietnam, in Hong Kong, in GBA and in ASEAN countries. We see a common pool of talents from Vietnam trained in Hong Kong for Hong Kong, for Vietnamese, for Chitubay, and for the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul General. Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar has now come to an end. For Vietnamese companies which are keen to set up a presence in Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area, you are welcome to approach the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in Singapore. We hope that it has been a fruitful event for everyone. Thank you again to all the distinguished guests and speakers for their insights and all the participants for joining us today. Thank you and goodbye.